Hey,
Hi, back
welcome
again.
back. For those of you who are just joining us, we were live this morning at 9. So on Mondays, I always feel like I see Faye all day.
Yeah, it's true. Mondays is our busy day, and we're really excited to have you guys with us today because we're doing business trends for the year, and that's why we've opened up the Master Mondays to several of our media feeds. So welcome everyone who's seen us for the first time.
Here. So it's a good one today. And we always love to kick it off with a little bit of a punchy music. So stay tuned. Don't see is the background of us drumming. I need to do a screen record one time so they can see us in the bottom, like
yeah, we're dancing and grooving, and I'm like going, oh, so I'm thinking, what song? We're talking about trends today, business trends. So I'm thinking the song is Sign, Sign, Everywhere a Sign.
I love that one.
So there's lots of signs. There is an overabundance of information out there on what is happening. We are like excited on a daily basis, right, Stacey?
There's so many new platforms, avenues, and stuff like that that's come out of the past 15 months of 2020 being insane. The transition of businesses throughout the pandemic, and now that we kind of see that light at the end of the tunnel, more than just the social media trends and online trends, which we've done, really wanted to talk about how businesses have transitioned. What are the trends going forward in business? If you are still in that, pivoting mode, or maybe you're not, or maybe you have pivoted. That was the term of 2020. Yes. But just what's coming up. So what are those things that you need to look forward to in the coming years that have kind of developed really over some of the new stuff that we've looked at have come out of the need of way to run business in 2020.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, there's just so much going on. And, every time you think you're going with one thing, you're like, oh my God, let's add this. Can we replace something? Like it's just ongoing. So let's just do one at a time and see where we end up. So drum roll, Stacey, boom, I'll leave it to you. What's your number one or number 3 or 4?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think I'm going to go with number 1. I know this is going to sound like kind of a boring one as a business trend, but really looking at data. Mm-hmm. And that's a big one that a lot of people really haven't focused on in 2020, but we've realized from the pandemic that it really needs to be part of what we do with business. And that's really understanding what worked and what didn't, especially for the people that pivoted their business. Maybe they moved online, maybe they've tried different platforms, maybe they've tried different marketing techniques, maybe they've introduced new products and services. And I think there was a lot of juggling back and forth as opposed to, really planning that out, because people had to pivot fast. Right. When this pandemic hit, they had to pivot fast. So really looking at the data, it kind of reevaluate the work that you've done, reinvention, integrate like what's working and what's not. So really looking at all of that stuff and seeing really what did work for your business. So that could mean analytics from social media in regards to the information that you put out there, but it could also mean the accounting, like look at what did you sell? What didn't you sell? And I know we have multiple financial individuals who join us. We have Colin, the numbers guy, and he's always saying, look at your numbers. But that's really important right now. Like what is generating that revenue, instead of I have all of this stuff. Really, what are the services and products that are driving that revenue more than, because I know I talk a lot about social media analytics and looking at all the different platforms, but this is different. Really looking hard at your financial numbers. Yeah. Where have you invested your time? Where have you invested your money? And are you getting that return? And what do you need to promote and focus on going forward?
Well, I think a lot of people don't really understand the bigger picture of numbers, and that's the problem, because they think, oh, I've got all these sales, but they didn't calculate their expenses. They didn't see what it's really costing them to make that sale. And so when you actually spend the time, and I know nobody wants to do it, right? Nobody wants to do it. And here, I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into that. Generally, when you don't want to do it, it's because you're not really making money at it. So when you are making money at it, you're excited to do your numbers. Yeah. But when you can say, oh, I made $10,000 last month, and you don't look at anything because you know that it cost you $9,999 to make that $10,000, you avoid looking at it. So I think, we are doing, if those of you are in our community watching, it is the start of our business reboot challenge this week. So it starts today. You can jump on anytime. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's our year of being epic, or we usually do a New Year challenge. And that's when we take 5 days, only 5 days, to analyze your business and say, okay, let's really look at what's working, what's not. So if you don't know how to do it, this is a perfect time to jump in. Go ahead, join the community, join the challenge. If you don't have to, you can do it on your own, but you do need to actually look at your data, however you want to say it, and see what is working, and then just do more of it.
Well, and the trend is that this particular analysis, if you do take the time to do it, which we encourage you to do that, and you really see what's driving your business and how you're making money and the services or products that you're selling and what are those best sellers, that will then drive business decisions going forward.
Right.
As opposed to, I want to do this, I think this made sense. I made a lot of decisions in 2020. I don't necessarily have the data to back up the decisions I made. Well, now is the time to go, hang on. And summer is a perfect time for that, which is, I love this kind of mid-year. That's what I love about the mid-year business reboot, is because it kind of incorporates this. Yeah. Stop, look, and then making those business decisions going forward with information you have, as opposed to the quickness in which we made those decisions from 2020.
Yeah. Because, I think a lot of people don't realize that they can stop and reboot and redo anytime they want. So you don't have to wait till the end of the year to get ready for next year. This is our mid-year. So this is a great time. Why are we doing business trends today? Because we think this is mid-year, and it's time to say, all right, maybe we didn't do much in the last 6 months, but the next 6 months is going to be ours. So let's take what we learned, take the trends, refocus, and then essentially start today as the rest of the year.
Exactly. So that one is, I know that sounded like a boring one, and we want to do
reality
cool trends, but it's a really important one for your business.
Yeah.
And a really important one to focus on.
And, cool trends. I mean, we love tech. Stacy and I love something comes out new and we get all excited, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's anything that's right for your business. So when we talk about, the ones that are integral part of your business, like your data, it's something that, regardless of anything else that's going around, it's been around for centuries. It's just easier to get data now. It's just that that's what you really need to focus with on your business. So my first one is really, again, it's old and it's new. So it's about branding, and we get this question a lot. A lot of my coaching clients always ask the same thing: how do I get out there and be how do people know where I am, who I am? Google, and this is a bit of a technology too, but Google has a formula called EAT, and it's expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. And so it is part of the reason that we created GIA last year, the Global Impact Accelerator. And so understand why this is really important. So expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. If you have all those three on your website, Google will rank you up at the top, because they don't want to send anyone unless they have these elements. So if you if you've defined your message and you're very clear on it, and all of your website says, this is what I'm an expert in. Your authority comes with all these different things we teach in Geo, like a podcast and blogging and videos. And you get that in, and then you have trustworthiness. So you have some social media proof, you have some testimonials. When you get all of this together, your Google rank goes up. So you become, you're trying to get to, obviously, the first hit. You're going to get to the zero spot yet, that little snippet, but we're going to talk about that in our Gia Mastermind when it comes up in September. So it is really, really crucial that you understand the importance of branding. It is it's not new, but because Google has now said, look, this is our criteria, it is new in the sense of how important it is to focus on it, not just how you're perceived. But if you do focus on it, your rank goes up, you're going to get more clients and customers. And the number one piece in all of it is making sure your messaging is correct. So you cannot be perceived as an expert or an authority if you're just a business coach without a specialty. If you're selling, 10,000 different widgets, but you don't focus on one industry, you need to be very, very tight and clear on your messaging. So huge trend, thanks to Google. Make sure you get that right.
And you know what? It's interesting because we did talk this morning very briefly in our hot topics about social proof, and it's showing that social proof is out there, and what your customers are saying does have a huge impact on your brand.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that Google is taking that into account in regards to what you have on your site. It's not just, hey, look at me, I think I'm brilliant. They're actually taking the things that you say, and the fact that they're understanding that your message does need to be really clear. And if it's not, and you're just a general person, like you said, a business coach, it's interesting that Google is now taking that into account.
Yeah.
For how they rank different sites and expertise and stuff like that. So,
so if you've never really taken that whole thing seriously, you need to now. We have a great program for you. If you're interested, it's Global Impact Accelerator. You need to really finally say, I'm in, I'm going to do this. I have to learn how to do it and get out there and get noticed.
And leading off of that, one of the trends that I was reading about this morning, which isn't a surprise, but it a little bit is again, the focus on influencers.
Right.
So very similar when we talked about making impact, when we were developing the Global Impact Accelerator, we were talking about the impact that you can have globally. And these influencers, even the micro influencers, are realizing, especially because, again, with 2020, a lot of people were, obviously we were all stuck at home, and we had to figure things out. And these influencers came through with reviewing products. They've created their own personal brands on sites, on social media sites. I mean, TikTok's been huge for that, no matter the age. They're talking about products, they're reviewing products, they're wearing products, they're going out there. And if you thought and maybe had discounted these influencers in your past, they have definitely kind of creeped up again, because they're realizing that these influencers can really have a huge impact on your brand.
Yeah.
Right. Kind of the whole, I think what ended up happening was, this is old. Again, old is new, right?
Yeah.
We've been talking about social engagement for years and years and years, social engagement, right? But what ended up happening as soon as the pandemic hit was that they went, oh, it's real.
Yes.
That was their only way that they could engage their customers, because their customers were not able to come into their store anymore.
Right.
And now, these influencers sort of came out and was like, well, they started engaging with their people, and the brand started engaging. And all of a sudden you realize that these influencers can have an influence over what you buy.
Yeah,
exactly the way. And micro influencers, and you don't have to have a huge following, but you can influence the buying decisions, and they are influencing the buying decisions, especially the younger crew. My son, even this morning, came up and he was watching this guy. He plays online hockey, and he was following this guy on Twitch, and he has his own clothing line, but we couldn't find it because he's a micro influencer, right? Yeah. It's not like you can just go Google this guy. But he found the site in which he could, and now he has his own line. And now my son, being somebody who's following him, wants a t-shirt. And they're really expensive, by the way. But here we have this micro individual super focused on the online hockey market. And he's building a business. So these influencers have different ways of reaching their audience, and they really do understand where they hang out.
And I think, for if you have a brand and you have a company, there are a lot of different agencies now that are very inexpensive that you can call on one of these micro influencers, because you might not, you don't have the money to hire one of the big celebrities, but you can hire somebody that's influential in a small market of 1,000 or 2,000 people. Yep. And just getting those people are enough to build your business and your brand. So I think it's really important that you understand that you have the ability to use these influencers. On the flip side, if you are in a community or you have influence over a different organization, you can be an influencer too. So if you have an active community, it's a great job to have, and you can go ahead and, again, put yourself out there on some of the agency sites, or reach out to a brand that you would like to promote. So there are brands out there that don't have an affiliate program. They might not even use influencers, but you think that, I have the ability to bring them business, then reach out to them directly and say, look, I can help you with bringing customers into your business. Great opportunity if you're just sitting there right now watching and going, I don't have a business, but I can influence them on how to buy fishing rods. Haven't said fishing in a long time.
Yeah, you've done sewing a lot lately, so I'm glad that we're back to fishing. It's summer, so we're back to fishing.
Yeah. So lots
you can also have an influence not just over products. You can be an influencer in your own community with your own services that you offer, right? So that influencer word, as much as it can be maybe intimidating by, someone who's older, because it's like the new way of doing business. But there's a lot of people out there, that's their business. I remember going to a conference a couple of years ago before the pandemic. That was her business. She was an influencer. That was her kind of role. And she would, just talk about different products and stuff like that. And she has a huge following. And she's now, we talked about this before, those curated boxes. Yeah. Now she's promoting a box. Like, that's her job, is to promote different products. And obviously she gets a commission for that. So it's interesting to see that trend in regards to business of how to incorporate influencers into your world if you do sell products.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it goes right into my next one, which is micro moments, another one from my friends at Google. And the reason I'm very obsessed with Google is because most of the world reads Google, and they have great opportunities for you to, again, increase your rankings. Why is that important? SEO is not dead. SEO is alive and well. The difference is that SEO has changed, right? And so Google has identified that micro moments, those small little bites that people are looking for, is again one that's going to help your rankings and get you to the front of the list when people are looking for. So there's 4 things they've really identified. When people are searching, they say, I want to know how to do this, right? I want to go somewhere. I want to know how to, fix something. I want to know how to buy something. But it's those micro moments. So if you can answer, for example, I want to know how to fish. Then, of course, we all want to know how to fish. Structured your website, and you've written blogs, and you've written things, micro moments on these pieces, your rank will go up because you've very highly targeted that question. Think about when you punch in something to Google, and you might punch in, I want to buy a camera, right? And so it sounds ridiculously simple, but think about it. What comes up in the ranks? Now you have to start looking at it differently because now you have to start deciding, okay, if that's how people search, and we've talked about this a lot, but if that's how people search, how do I put that on my website?
Right.
so that it'll come up in the rankings. And part of it, which is really interesting, and it fits into some of the other things I'm talking about, but one big huge trend in micro moments and under it is voice search, right?
Right.
So voice search with Alexa, voice search with Siri. You might be driving and you might say, hey Siri, where can I go here? What's the answer to this? And that's your voice. And when you search with your voice is different than when you search typing. So there's a whole trend now of also understanding the whole voice marketing funnel. And that's key, and one that I'm really interested in, because there's all these new softwares coming out for that trend as people continue to add Google Home, Alexa, everyone into their home environments. You are going to more and more, like it or not, more and more, you are going to just say, hey, Alexa, I need a Yeti mic. Can you find out what's the best price? Or, hey, Alexa, what's the best microphone to use? If you have articles that rank high about the best microphone to use, guess what Alexa is going to give you? Right. So huge. Remember, micro moments. So it's like you want a specific question. So how does that relate to the rest of the scheme of your business? Because you're like, that's great, Faye, but I'm not going to write a bunch of little articles. No, whatever you do, think about how you can give them the one answer they're looking for. Maybe they don't need your entire course. They don't need all of your products, but they need one. So rather than say, oh, you can't have it, it's in a bundle, figure out how you can give them the one thing they're looking for. That's my
awesome. Favorite. I love that. And you're right. I think we're searching for things differently. I know before, like going back to that, I want a new camera or I want to buy something. I never used to search like that. I would search in, SLR camera. Like I would really shorten it. But it's interesting now that I see, again, sort of that younger generation coming up, and they are influencing how things are moving.
Totally.
They type in full questions.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you, I remember my kid, I'm like, why are you typing in a full question? Like you could kind of minimize the words, and considering
get the full answer.
But in considering how they are shortening everything in regards to texting each other, they're actually typing out full questions and full sentences if they want to search for something.
Right.
Which is just an interesting way that they're finding out more specific answers to their questions.
Absolutely. So think about just that in your business, because as you think about your, if it ties in right to your branding, to your data, ties into everything. So think about your messaging. If your message is, we do everything, then you're going to get nowhere, because nobody's going to type in how to do everything.
Well, right. And your website that you feel is more general isn't actually answering the question that they're typing in, which is the problem that they have. I want to do this, or how do I do this, or how do I get help for this specific problem that I have? It's getting very specific.
Right. I mean, when I type in, like, even, the reason I thought of microphone on the top of my head, I've been dragging my Yeti back and forth. I need another Yeti. So this is what I typed in. Where can I find Yeti on sale?
Right.
That's what I typed in. I didn't say Yeti. I said Yeti on sale. There's a difference. Right. And so I don't want anybody to show me the regular prices. I'm not interested. And we have all the assistants, the AI assistants we're going to talk about. But, we need to be very cognizant of the fact that it's micro moments. It's voice is getting huge. It's just starting. But I believe that in the next year, voice search is going to be massive, because we are great examples of how we're slowly converting, right? Because a year ago, I didn't use voice as much as I did. And now I'm using it more and more and more. So next year, I'm probably going to be sitting on the couch going, hey, right?
One of my hot topics was how grateful I was for Alexa. Yeah. It's so amazing. Well, so just so that you know, we plan, but we don't talk a lot before we do these, which is kind of the funny part. But that actually leads perfectly into my next one, which is a big one. I mean, it's been happening for a long time, but this is huge, which is automations. So I know that that's going to, I know you want to talk about AI, but before that is automations. And a lot of people still do a lot of manual stuff in their business, and they're realizing that, again, with the trend of working from home, staying here, maybe moving their business more online, I think the automation trend, I think that's why it is so prevalent in 2021. Right. I know I've spent a lot of time over the past few months when we were developing our community, when we were developing different courses, how can we do it? And, you know, we have a payment system over here, but we deliver the product over here. Right. And how do we make all of this automated? So there's lots of different ways. And I think I've seen more and more companies coming out with, like, literally, like, they put it out and say, like, right in their sales page, and here's how you would automate the process. It wasn't there before. It was very much of a standalone, but they're realizing that, like us, there's lots of companies that have multiple systems for doing things. So I think we've, you know, we kind of went from back in, you know, even before my day was your day, when you were saying you duct tape 500 million systems. I kind of came in a little bit later, where I was duct taping systems together with automations. Then we moved into sort of the all-in-one platform. But the problem is that, again, over the past year, a lot of companies have come out with different types of systems.
Sorry.
That's okay. So, somebody breaking into your house.
No, there's hold on a second.
Sorry, completely distracted.
Sorry. I had to, because I'm alone here. So I have to kind of, if somebody's at the door, I have to say, hey, no.
Sorry. So anyway, so apparently she's automated processes as well.
Yes.
But yeah, so we've again gone from duct taping a lot, duct taping a little, all-in-one solutions. And over the past year, a lot of different systems and a lot of new platforms have come out. Right. And they're really focusing on what they do versus the all-in-one systems, right? Yeah. This is what we do best. We are this solution for you. And they're amazing compared to what they were in the past.
And adding and adding and adding.
Absolutely. And adding. And we're still, some of them, as you know, we're still waiting for them to perfect some of the things.
Waiting for them to add.
Waiting for them to add. But still, like, there's systems that we really like. So there's a system that we like for product delivery, which is Kajabi. There's a system that we like for, like, landing pages and funnels and all of that, which is Groove. And they do that really well. You know, we use StreamYard for streaming to all of our different platforms when we're doing online trainings and stuff like that. So the biggest thing is, again, those automations. So if somebody subscribes to your list, you know, some basic stuff, you know, you don't want to be sitting there manually sending them out. If someone purchases a product, they want to get that immediately. And I think that was the big thing. Again, it's always been there. Yeah. But the trend is because more people went online.
And I think, and you'll see your partners that you're working with now, you know, as we said, they're adding more. I mean, I just did a survey today with one of our partners that is adding something that I didn't expect them to add. And I'm like, oh, if they add that, then I can get rid of this. And so here's the thing, though. When I first started in online, which was infancy. So when I first started, I was always like, well, I'm waiting for them to do this. I'm waiting for them because they said they were going to add things, and I would wait. And there's no point because you can flip things so quickly. So don't wait for somebody who promises you something. Go ahead and automate with what you have. You can always flip it over. My caveat on that is always ask. So for example, if you're with an email provider, if you can't export your list and leave, then that's not a person that you want to go with, right? So you want to make sure that your providers are always easily interchangeable, and that makes a difference. And I give you a perfect example how important automation is. One of my clients, which is a restaurant chain, is using a POS platform, and they're stuck in like, you know, 10 years ago. Like, they're not automating to keep up with the other POS providers. And so, the company has to take a long, hard look at and say, is it worth sticking around, or do we bite the bullet and make our automation simple with somebody else? So really, really important trend.
And also saving yourself time, because again, we've taken the time, maybe we've moved online, we've pivoted the business, whatever the case may be. And also understanding that we had a lot more time, but that's now that the pandemic is, we're showing signs again, that light at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
Now is the time to kind of go, okay, how do I automate this stuff?
Yeah.
So that when a business gets busier, or when, you get busier, when we start to get out on the other side of this pandemic, what can you automate within your business? What processes and systems can you automate to make your life a lot easier to deliver content, deliver products, deliver services, whatever the case may be? What could you simplify? And maybe it's as simple as asking your customers, like when they're going through your own system as a customer, what can you automate to make it faster? So, because again, it's that immediate gratification. We need that immediate thing to happen. I don't want to wait till the next day. I know you and I had this conversation, I think it was last week. We went through we have a new quiz that we've just done. And we found one that was their entire system. So we had to figure out how to automate around it. And you and I went through it as a new person. And we realized that that email, that automation needs to change. So go through your own systems new and see what's out there as well, because I know it's been around for a while, but again, it's going to make your life so much easier, and there's new ways to automate things.
And a lot of the times, the new ones you go to are less expensive. They're better and they're less expensive because they're nimble. They're startups. They came to the whole marketplace with a brand new approach, right? And so, sometimes we get stuck. It's kind of like I tell everybody all the time, I used Infusionsoft for years because they were the CRM platform. They were ridiculously expensive, like really, really expensive for people starting out. And I used them because they were the best, right? All the big marketers used them. But what's the funny thing happened? All of a sudden, these smaller companies came in, they were better and they were way cheaper. So, I left quickly, and a lot of people, left a long time later. And I think Infusionsoft are trying to catch up, but I think they lost a lot of people on the people that did stay are people that are comfortable with not changing.
Right. And the good thing, again, of these new companies coming in, but whatever one, and we're always very transparent. I was with the products that we use. We're going to put a whole resource page together so you can see them all. But this particular company, the new ones that are coming out, they're focused on automation.
Yes.
The reason being is because people are asking that question right away. How can I integrate with my current system that I'm doing? How can I integrate with my payment processor that I already have set up? How can I integrate with my email provider? How can I do this automatically? Like they're thinking about that way ahead of the time, way ahead of time. So that when you land on their platform, you install it, boom, they have the integrations, the automations, and everything ready to go, versus you having to duct tape things together. Right. So very smart move on their end, because they saw the trend and it's continuing.
And part of automation is AI, which is what I wanted to mention. And AI is so broad of a topic. So when I talked about, voice searches and voice funnels, that's all part of AI. So, Alexa and Siri, they're all AI. Google's just Google, aren't they?
Google's just Google. Google Home. Google Home.
So they're all part of AI, and AI is not going anywhere. So chatbots, everyone, when I used to say AI, they used to think it was a chatbot, but there's more. But now here's the difference. As annoying as chatbots are, your expectation is that everybody has a chatbot, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I got to leave a message somewhere. So they are not only here to stay, but they're getting better and better, and they're becoming, you're being able to program the questions and answers much more than you used to. So
you
AI
even had a situation when we're talking about the customer service experience.
Yeah.
So you actually asked the question, is this a bot or is this a real human? Because they've gotten so good.
Yeah, and so usually what happens, it starts as a bot and then it ends up being a person. So I said, "Is this a bot?" And he said, "No, it's Angelo." And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's still in my mind. I'm like, "Is you're a bot named Angelo?"
Yeah.
But AI is crazy huge. It is getting better and better every time that you go on somebody's site. It is incredibly affordable for even a small business to have a chatbot. We've had them in the past. We still have them. We are looking for a perfect one, and I think we're almost there. So we're transitioning this week actually to something a little new and different. And so what's important to understand is there's so many applications of any type of AI out there. When you use any of the messaging services as well, they're AI focused. But there's some cool ones that I really was interested in, other than just the voice search. The two that I really love, that I don't know if you've tried or not, Stacy, but it's Google Lens and it's Pinterest Lens. And so I want to go on the visual aspect for a minute. So for Google Lens, for example, so when you're on Google in Chrome, you can click the little camera thing that it gives you a little icon that says Lens, and you can take a picture of anything. So I can take a picture of a book cover and it will immediately give me everything about that book reviews, some summaries, you name it. I can take a picture of a cup and it will show me every cup that looks like it. And that's just with one click. It's different than a picture search. This is so much easier.
Right.
On Pinterest Lens, which is very cool. When you're actually in the Pinterest app, you can take a picture and it will immediately put all the parameters. So it might say red, strawberry, cup, sauce, and then it'll show you every single pin that's related to what you just took. That's amazing. Now think about it. If you've tagged your pictures correctly in Pinterest, then you can, in fact, rank really high again on some of the searches. So if somebody is searching for a black t-shirt with a red rose, because that's how people search, right? I want a black t-shirt with a red rose. So if your pin has said black t-shirt with a red rose, right, it will immediately come up. If they see one in a store and they say, I like that t-shirt, I wonder if there's any that are a little different, they can take a picture of it with their pin, with their Pinterest Lens, and it will show everything similar. That's amazing, because now think about how you can translate that to furniture, to clothing, to courses, depending again on how you do your search, right? So that whole aspect of social commerce is huge, because now when you only used to see influencers who tagged their partnerships. You don't have to be an influencer anymore. On Instagram, which Stacy doesn't know that we're going to do next week, so you're going to follow us. But on Instagram,
I love finding things out.
You can now upload your shop, right? Your storefront, and anything you want on a post you can tag. So for those of you that know, our big course is a Global Impact Accelerator. We can put our store catalog, so that's part of our store catalog. We can put it on our storefront in Instagram. We can go ahead and tag, and when we upload a picture and mention it, we can put a tag and it will go directly to that product and you can buy it without leaving Instagram.
Awesome. I'm in.
So I want you guys to check it out. We're going to do it next week because, we're not hiding anything. We don't have it yet, but we're going to add it in next week. And then you guys can, come along with us and tell us what you think. Do you like it? But social commerce, that is one aspect of it, is huge. I know if you go, for example, on IKEA, you can take a picture of your room in their IKEA app. So you have to download the app. You can take a picture of your room and then you can add any of their furniture in to see what it looks like in your room.
And that's, again, virtual reality, augmented reality, is only, it's literally only just beginning.
Yeah.
Goes to, I think I remember sending it, I don't know if I sent it to you or somebody else, but I remember like even just trying on makeup. I mean, hairstyles have been around for a while, but that's all part of AR, a little bit different than, virtual reality, a little bit different than automations. They're all kind of separate, but I love that. I love the fact that I can see what it looks like on me. So products, hair, glasses, that's another, there are all these different filters that are very easy to create now.
Right.
And it makes such a big difference in your world. And I think it's just beginning.
Absolutely.
AR,
and like,
VR,
what's really
AI,
funny?
all that stuff.
Like in 2 years from now, somebody's going to come across this video and they're going to go, oh my God, I can't believe like they thought that was like new and exciting, because it's going to be so old in 2 years from now.
And it happens, things happen so fast.
Yeah.
Like
so those are my 3. What more do you have for us?
So one more, just because it's a really fun one, because this is a huge, almost industry. I'm going to call it a micro industry that has kicked off again from the pandemic. I'm not happy the fact that we went through the pandemic, but I'm so loving the innovation that people have had, and they've seen the need for this. So from the virtual reality concept is now kind of, I don't know what to call it, sort of virtual, almost interfaces. So Zoom, they owned that space. Right. Let's be real. When the pandemic hit, Zoom, they turned into a verb, right? We'll jump on Zoom. I'll Zoom you, like all Zoom fatigue. Like it became a whole trend. Yeah. But what's interesting is that it has limitations, like with every other platform. And the social interaction was just a bunch of squares. So now we've seen 3 or 4. We finally settled on one that we're actually going to use for the first time next week when we do our first Mastermind City actual networking event. Yeah. We've used one called Run the World. So that's the one that we settled on. But there was a lot of other ones. And what was so fascinating about it was literally, just imagine, you can set these up as almost like a virtual conference. Yeah. Okay. So, or as a physical conference. So just imagine you're in a room and we've set up quadrants. So if you go over to this quadrant, the conversation is about networking. If you go to this quadrant, and you can physically get up and move to a table, right? Yeah. So what they've done is they've mimicked that into the online world. So you can literally take your little bubble, your face bubble.
Walk yourself
over and go to a table, and boom, the table will appear, and all the people around the table, and you can see and you can talk, and you can literally drag your bubble away from the table. You can say, okay, bye everybody. And you walk it to another table, or walk it to a different area. And it's so interesting, the technology that they've come out with to be able to virtually socialize in these integrated networks and interfaces. And they've made it very easy.
I have to tell you, like, not only is it cool and easy and fun, but it's opened up the world to so many people that couldn't leave their homes, couldn't get out, still can't get out, if they're if they're caregivers, or they're looking after people that are incredibly introverted and shy, who would never go to a networking event. This allows them to, if they're not comfortable, they can just click off. They don't have to worry about, walking into a room and then trying to figure out how to leave. So it's a fascinating dynamic in how it can really make a massive social impact for those that otherwise would have never attended events like that. So I just think it's fantastic. I'm a big supporter of all things virtual, because I'm one of those people that, because of the care situation, I'm a full-time caregiver. I have more of a challenge to get to places. So,
well, and it's an interesting shift from local to global, right? Totally. And I think that's been another huge shift that's happened, that will now become, I mean, like work from home is now a thing. It's actually on the trend list, work from home. And they're like, for real, because people who are in other businesses have realized that productivity will go up. And with the virtual networking, it's taken the local out. And that's, again, sort of the other trend that I saw, was the move from local to global. because of the virtual interfaces that enable you to now socialize with people all over the world, as opposed to us all having to fly in. And you may not have the financial capabilities. Maybe you don't have the physical capabilities. Maybe you do need to stay closer to home, and therefore you felt like you were left out because you can't leave on a whim and go. It's like, oh, this really cool conference is happening in New York next weekend. Let's go. You don't have that option.
No.
So they've created these virtual interfaces where you do feel like you can literally see all the different bubbles of people who are there. And if you want to talk to somebody, it's like, boom, go right next to their bubble. And it's like, hey, I just wanted to say hi. We were at this particular table, whatever the case may be. So, and you can see who's at what table. You can get up, you can move around just like you would on the regular one. So next week, we're just finalizing the date and time, but I'm excited to kick this off. So again, we went with Run the World. So give them a shout out. And I'm really excited to have people come in, and they've really developed an incredible platform for these virtual interfaces.
Yeah, so just jump on our community. It's free, right? So go into mastermindcitycommunity.com, join up, and then you'll get the notification that we're going to be doing the networking. So you'll want to join us just to see what it's like, right? So we're giving you a safe place to check things out, try it out, see if you like it. Yeah, and see if maybe it's something that you want to bring to your community, to your group. The problem with a lot of these things is a lot of people are even too shy to do a demo or stuff, right? And they're like, I don't want to, because then they'll try to sell me. So we're not selling it. So you can just come and join us and check it out and see if you actually think this might be good for your business. So many exciting things happening. And I guess my biggest piece of advice on all this is very simple: is get your main pieces in order. So look at your data and understand your brand. I think we started with those two. I think they're the most important. They're not the sexiest or the most fun, but they are the most important. So if you can get that right, you are well on your way. And sometimes, you just need a little bit of a push or a little bit of help to get those going. And then once you do, you'll be able to take advantage of all this cool stuff that's coming down the pipe.
Absolutely. Okay. So what do we say? Go master your data, go master what you're already doing, and then you can master the rest of the year. And if you need a business reboot, check out the challenge.
Yeah. Mastermindcitycommunity.com. You'll find all about the challenge there.
All right. I'll see you next week for Master It Monday.
Bye.